I3 series. How many of you are aware of I3 series? Can you please raise your hand? I know it is more like a faculty asking the student, but I'm sure many of you have attended I3 series. So I would just like to know if anybody has attended the I3 series ever earlier. Have you had any association with IIID earlier ever? It has been, right? In which way? Yes? Okay, in the Insider X. Okay, so that's where we had it in Hightex. Other than that, have you ever attended any of the I3 series earlier? Because we have already done it twice in the JNFU auditorium. Please raise your hand, whoever has attended. Okay, so it's mostly the faculty here, Farah. Okay, again the faculty here. Okay, fine. So I extend a warm welcome to the Principal Roots College of Design, Film and Media, along with the chairman, Mr. B.P. Padala Garu, IID members, speakers, fellow managing committee members, faculty and students from various colleges who could make it for this event. The Indian Institute of Interior Designers is the apex body for the interior designers in India and comprises of architects, interior designers, trade members, educationists, and students. The Hyderabad chapter meets regularly for events that push the frontiers of the design world. Last 2 years have been very eventful for IIID HRC, and when it comes to students, it has gone to another level altogether. We have had presentations, I don't know how many of you have attended, but many a times we have had fellowship meetings in IIID HRC. This is where we have called architect Hiren Patel or architect Gopa Menon also. And whenever we have had this opportunity of getting them put to the fellowship meetings, we have made sure that they had a presentation with you people also. And that is where it has happened in JNFAU auditorium. In addition to that, many of you must have attended, or if not, you must have heard of the event which we did in JNFU, which was the B.V. Doshi program, which was Remembering B.V. Doshi, where we did a series of programs ranging from sketching, photography, exhibition, quiz, movie screening, guided tour to buildings and campus, which included ICRISAT, LIC housing, and this is where we had another lovely presentation by architect Neelkant Chaya from CEPT, Ahmedabad. The venue most of the times have been the JNFU auditorium, because that's how we feel that since most of the institutes are affiliated with the university, it works the best when we call the students there. It so happened for this event also, at the last minute there was a change in the venue, because they have their own induction programs and orientation programs going on. And that is where Roots actually came forward, and we are very grateful for you people to actually have given us a platform where we could have an event of this kind. As part of Insider Showcase also, which was held at Hightex, which many of you have witnessed, we have had bamboo workshop. Again, this is where we had called architect Sankalpa, from Thumb Impression, who had also given his insight. It was almost like a week workshop. We had Best Out of Waste workshop, which was again conducted by our co-curator, architect Amita Raj, who is also sitting amongst us, who will be one of the speakers. Along with that, obviously it was conducted for the students. We also had design competition, where again, students from various architectural and design colleges have participated. So, students from architecture and design colleges, not only in terms of presentations which we have given and you people have attended it, we are really grateful to all the colleges and architecture and design colleges to have actually allowed us to have these kind of events, because something like this cannot happen without the management support. So whenever we had a requirement of student volunteers, especially for the Insider X, you people were always there. So we are grateful to the management, the principal, the HOD of various institutes, who have always offered a hand to us whenever we needed it. And I think at this point it requires a round of applause, because it cannot work if not for the college management. So as I said earlier also, as how we have called speakers from across India, Likewise, we have I5 series, which IIID HRC does, where we have mostly 5, as in 5 architects or designers give their presentation on the kind of work they have done. Is mostly they narrating their journey from the very initial times to how they have actually passed through this entire phase. So I3 is meant for the students because it is not only about the members of IIID, but otherwise also students, how students benefit from this. And since it is I3, that's how there are 3 designers or architects who actually narrate their journey. So for this platform of this kind is really nice because that is where we have a one-to-one interaction with the students. And this is where, and that's what is about I3. So before I take it any forward, I request our chairperson, Architect Manoj Wahi, to please give the welcome address.
It's fine. Yeah. Hello and a very warm welcome and good afternoon to all the students, faculties, to Padala sir and Hari Krishna Garu and Nivedita ma'am. Thank you for allowing us to do this here. And I'm sure this is not going to be the last time we'll be coming here to do some activity of IIID with the students. And thank you all of you to have come. And I think, and my real gratitude and thanks to the 3 speakers who've agreed to present their journeys and philosophies of design to the young minds. And I'm sure there's going to be a great takeaway from all of you, because nothing can rub off the passion of design than listening to the masters or the people who've done it themselves. I think that's very important that, YouTube videos or, just going online, that's a different experience. But when you see the expressions on the face of the people and you can actually connect to their journeys and their philosophies, I think that's very important to be right there in person and look at these people. And these people have very long journeys and they've made it, really to the top levels of whatever they are doing. Even the young ladies, the 2 of them have really, worked very hard to be where they are today. And I think they've crossed this journey of, I think, about a decade or so in a half the time. So basically they're already 20 years old in practice, though they don't look so old because they've done so much work, See, that's the passion they drive. These are the people who really want to make the best use of their profession, reaching out and doing something really worthwhile. I would also like to just announce the arrival of one of our sponsors, Mr. Suleiman Hirani from Darpan. And he's been so kind enough to have supported this initiative of I3 when we launched this. And thank you, Suleiman bhai, we were waiting for you, So we had to anyway start because we were already getting delayed. Thank you for joining. And now I'll just move on to the program. I think just let's all, and I think the most important part is to engage with the speakers. Just don't listen to them. Keep some questions in your mind. Ask those questions because this is the best time for you to, clear all your doubts you would have regarding going forward in this profession. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manojji. And at this point, I would like to request Chairperson Mr. BP Padala to please come forward and say a few words.
Very good afternoon to the delegates as well as the organizers. It's our privilege to host this interesting, insightful event in our college premises. Particularly relevant is that we had also launched a program in interior design 3 years back, and we are trying to find our feet. So it must be a very interesting session to our students too. So let's hope and look for the riveting sessions, looking at the speakers list. Thank you for all.
Thank you so much, Padala Garu, for your insight. This is where, Srinath, if you can please dim the lights. We can have a presentation by Darpan Furnishings. Okay, we'll have it after. So before this presentation, we'll have the first speaker for this event. And this is where we have Salim Qureshi sir. And I'm sure, again, if you have attended Remembering Bibi Doshi, and especially if you have done the photography and sketching sessions, you must have met sir. So as one of the students came forward to address that, see, I know sir. So Salim Qureshi sir is BR 1975 batch from Osmania University. So you can imagine the kind of experience sir has. He did his MBA in project management from Alameda University, US in 2000. He has worked in India, Middle East, and Canada. In his career, he has been involved in all kinds of projects in design and site management. To name a few projects such as Naval Base in Jubail, KSA in collaboration with British Aerospace, the Royal Terminal in Riyadh, KSA. Miles Bronson Residential School, Guwahati, Assam, 1250-bedded hospital in Chivela, resort in Shamirpet, etc. Salim sir is also involved in academic field. He is a visiting faculty with Raffles Millennium International, teaching various subjects in architecture and interior design, and is also the visiting professor and design chair in Kale University School of Architecture. Put your hands together to welcome the first speaker for the event, architect Salim Qureshi sir. Sir, would you like to sit or stand and speak? You need the mic or there is a mic?
Yeah, open the first slide anyways. Then let me introduce for a little while. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure you can hear me. If you don't, just raise your hands. Now, can you hear me? I don't know. Yeah, now it's better. It's too loud. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege to be here. I have to say a lot of things, but Manoj is sitting here, so I can't say anything against the time allotted by IIID. Just to be, in a short way, my journey has been a very long journey and a very pleasant journey associated with architecture throughout my life. 75 to 2023 is a long journey, right? 48 years. Even if I give it 1 minute per year, it would take that many minutes to convey how it went. It went well, and I'm happy to be here. I've taught and practiced in India, Middle East, and Canada. And in these 20 minutes, I want to tell you, there's a lot of things I want to tell you, but I want to stress on the point that sketching is a dying art. Just a quickie, how many of you, the students, do sketch? How many of you are involved in sketching out things? Yeah, that's not bad, but I would say that if it was more, I would feel much happier, because architects' first tool is to sketch out something, which I still do. While I'm talking to my clients, I sketch it out even on my palms and convey the idea of what it is going to be. So, but as I said, it's a dying thing which I won't give up till I'm alive, that I want to revive that sketching part of architecture. Anyway, so today I'm going to show you sketches which span almost 45 years. It's a mixed thing because I didn't want to segregate so you'll find sketches in color, in pencil, in ink, and so on and so forth. You can stop anywhere. I'll be very happy, and I'll be very briefly describing what that sketch was about. So be alert when somebody wants them to stop. You just stop. You want me to operate from here? So of course that's me working in my office table. This is an ink thing of Kaaba. I think most of you will recognize what it is. This is pencil, ink, and watercolor. One of my students challenged me to do this sketch in one of the classes, which was like watercolor classes. So it turned out quite well, I suppose. I think it was in 2013 or something. Anyway, then these are sketches which I've been doing when I started my career. If you focus, this was, I think, in, I don't know, 82, 79, things like that. So these were done as concepts. This is a little later. What I'm showing you is the conceptual sketching, what you do as a first presentation, right? Now, this sketch is one of my favorites, and it was done in 91 or something. I can't read it from here.
1st March
92. So look at that detailing. Like that's 30 years back, and it was a sitting area with a dining and an open kitchen in the background. But this is what I'm saying. Like this was done in about 3 hours plus. So it doesn't take time, but it depicts whatever you want to show the client. That time I was working with Flora Di Mena, one of the architects in Toronto. All these sketches are with Flora's office. This is one fort project we are doing in near Bhopal, converting into a 5-star sort of resort. Again, back to Flora. This was one of my last sketches before leaving Toronto. It's a kitchen, as you can see, and the lady in sari means it was a client, Dr. Patel or some name. You know, this is another view of this. These are all different sketches. Now here in this sketch, you see the notations. Notations are very important. When you do a sketch, notation should be there because it explains what you have in mind, right? This is another hallway. I think you can read the notes, right? The title and so on and so. This is another class sketch, pen and ink during raffle days. We had to imagine a temple entrance, and that's what we ended up with. This is again, I think, 89 or 91, somewhere around that time. I don't know why I did this with a donkey and an owner sitting there. Sometimes we need a break, right? These are few sketches I did when I was working with British Aerospace. They are all typical British guys, you know, Scottish guys. And when they came back from office, they used to complain about weather. That was in Jubail. The mean temperature is 50, 51 in the summer. So that project had a lot of glitches because the existing base was done by the Americans, and we were doing the extension with the British, which are two different, you know, these guys call them Yankees, and the other way around, you know, both think this is a classical of what I was saying. The signage program for this project had so many complications. So you can see that complicated guy there. So sketch could be a building, a small thing trying to depict some story you want to tell. Anyway, this is one of the sketches I did for Bharat Shah's wife for a book she was doing. This is again Mohammadgarh Fort project. This is one of my favorites. It shows the terraced hotel part, the cottages, the golf course, and so on and so forth. These are series which I helped one of my students go through thesis she was doing on airports. So you'll find some kind of planes in the background, check-in counters, general sort of area where you come out. Again, a lobby, check-in, I think, the drop-off area. Again, back to the hotel. This is the outside of the airport. These are conceptual sketches done in about average of 20 to 25 minutes. So, now these are series of watercolors done for the Royal Terminal, and we used to do these renderings with watercolor to show the fabric. If you notice, you have a pointer or something? No. Anyway. Does it work? Anyway, on the right, as you face on your right, you'll find these panels with fabric. So we used to work that hard to create that fabric feel to it. Again, here you can see it on your right, the fabric feel, the silk, you can feel that silk. All these were done for the Royal Terminal, the flow patterns, the entrance hallway. I don't know if I can still take the brush and do those kind of things, right? This is the outside of that Royal Terminal drop-off area. So what I'm saying is, don't let the pencil fall off your hand. I know nowadays everybody is like SketchUp and whatever tools you have, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's bad. But the basic tool, if we still keep as such, this is one of the ones I like myself because it's got a cupboard with the center two, with a bangle kind of things, which of course the client wanted it to be like that. So I've included, I don't know, the sketches I could get. There are umpteen more, but we can't show them all. This is again a very old sketch. Typical Chinese hang to the chairs we did for a restaurant. These are my collections of Haveli's watercolors and ink mostly. This is a sketch we did, I think, in a day for a client who wanted to build 11 temples on a hill, a little bit about 80, 90 kilometers from here. And it had to be shown as how it will look. So we had these 11 temples, very similar to each other, of course, because of the time constraint. But he got the hang that this is how it will look. So that is more important, right? We can do a detailed rendering whenever you get the time. This is a sketch I did for one of my clients in Toronto, where he had his office and he had his son's office on the other side. So he being from Hyderabad, he had this Charminar thing, and on the right side was his son's office, which was the CN Tower. So I did this drawing as if it was done by croquis. I don't know how many of you know croquis. You know, we chip this wooden thing and we dip it in ink, and of course now we have it in metal. But this looks like a drawing which was done by a croquis. This is one of the golf courses. Again, a water rendering class. This is watercolor. I wish we had time, I could focus on that old man and the pots. And just because of that old man and the pots, the detailing, this painting was sold for 1,50,000. I was surprised myself. He said, I'm buying this only for that old man and the pots, nothing else. So sometimes you get lucky. I don't usually sell my work, but this guy insisted on having it. So this is another bazaar kind of scene from the Middle East. If any one of you have been there, you would definitely identify with that. Somebody challenged me that a painting cannot be done without a human figure or a tree or a water or, you know. So I did this, and then she agreed that, yeah, paintings could be done without those three elements there. Of course, this is all one oil painting I did, I think, 30 years back, maybe more, I don't know, the same time. And of course, our favorite Charminar. The actual original is in pen and ink, and I took a copy and tried to do some color, but I still like the black and white. That's it. Now, I would request you guys, honestly, because I've tried to finish. I haven't seen Manoj flash his phone, so I'm 5 minutes, okay. So please do get involved, ask me questions of all what you have seen here. Please come out, ask questions of how and why or where we can use sketching. I don't want to talk about architecture because it's going to take time. There's not enough time to talk architecture in 20 minutes. So please, I'm looking at you guys at the back. You guys must be having questions in your mind. Don't feel afraid or shy. No? So in my next presentation, Manoj, you have to give me 5 minutes extra, right? I'm saving you 5 minutes. Yes?
Yeah, sorry, sir. Just wanted to ask, obviously you have a scene in your mind, you want to draw it. How would you start? Where would you start from? You have a scene, but what would be some tips you would advise when you're starting a scene or a drawing? Okay.
That's your question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Have you sketched any time?
Yes, sir. I am an architect.
What have you sketched most of the time? Like buildings?
Yeah.
Right.
It's mostly live sketching that we did a lot.
Right.
I don't think we did a lot of sketching or conceptuals, that's all.
Okay. Now, my suggestion or advice would be, you want to do this sketch to show it to the client as to what you think or what you think he is thinking.
Yeah.
Right? Close your eyes, get your mind and your hand and your eyes, when you open it, should be in sync, right? Believe me, it's not difficult. Once you picture the picture in your mind and tell your hand to do it, it'll come like that. You only need a little bit of practice. So suppose you're doing an interior of something, of a cafe or a house. Close your eyes, imagine what comes to your mind and start there. Start the blank walls first, and slowly these ideas will fill in. Like if you are doing, let's say, a living room, right? You have to picture which wall you want to show. Most of the time we try to say living and dining, right? Usually it's either in a L shape, or even if it's a standalone living room, imagine the two walls. It's very easy to start. Focus on one point, draw this wall and the left wall, and start filling where the openings are, what kind of ceiling you have, what kind of a carpet, draw the furniture, right?
Right.
I would request, I do that in KL University where I'm the design chair, so I can manage the time and the days for making students get involved in sketching. I don't know about other institutes, I can just request them. Sketching needs time not on a dais like this. It needs time to be in a studio. And you have seen one sketch of Lord Ganesh, right?
Yeah.
She said, "Sir, I want you to draw Lord Ganesh." And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do, right? But you have seen Lord Ganesh's pictures everywhere.
Yeah.
Throughout your life. So you close your eyes, you imagine what it should be, and of course, when you open your eyes, your mind and your hand are in sync, and then your eyes come into focus. If your hand does something wrong, your eyes will correct it, right?
Yeah.
So that is how we start a basic, even to draw a chair, right? I've shown you 2 sketches of
Yes,
chairs
sir.
which the client had wanted to have a Chinese look, right? So you close your eyes, imagine what it would be. And once you start sketching, the ideas will flow in.
Right.
It should always be a positive connection between the 3 elements, eyes, your hands, and your mind. And how, as a student, see, I still believe I haven't learned anything after all these 48 years. I still feel there's so much to learn, right? So we cannot say, once you do your master's or a PhD or double PhD, that I am the master. The moment you say I am the master of design or anything, that's the end of yourself, right? Because I believe in what Confucius said, that he who knows, he knows not. Do you get it?
Yes, sir.
He who knows, he knows not. So, any more questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please. I think this light is, I'm not being able to connect with the students, right?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So this is not more of a doubt, but it's just I want to know your point of view. Because now the technology has changed. There are like people started doing digital sketchings like an iPad, or maybe also there's sketch pads available. So I would like to know that, did you like try doing digital sketching? What is your point of view?
I've got what you call that tablet, right? That thing. Yeah, right. I've got that for the last 1.5 years. I've tried a few times, but I'm from the old school, right? So I still like the feel of the pencil on the paper. And believe me, these tools are excellent tools, right? So if you feel comfortable with a sketch pad, that's what you call it, right? Do it. What I'm trying to say is, don't lose the feel of drawing a straight line. I don't want to belittle anyone, but I can still say with total confidence that even architects with 20, 30 years of experience, if you tell them to draw a straight line on a A2 size sheet, they won't be able to draw it. That's what I'm thinking is to be revived. So if you can do it on a pad, do it. Right? I think it's much more easier once you master that. What do you call that? Still call it a pen, right?
Yes,
So
it's a
you
pen.
just take that, pick a color, fill in. It's much easier once you master it. We had to do it manually, right? Say I want to color the thing blue, the lead breaks, I have to sharpen it, by the time you sharpen it, you sometimes lose, you spill tea or whatever. But we still did it because we had the passion to do it. We wanted to do it. Different things. You want to do it because somebody wants you to complete it, that's another thing. You want to do it because it's your passion. See, I still traveled 300 kilometers to be in a class with students because nothing satisfies me more when I walk into my class, I see their faces, their smiles, that sparkle in their eyes. I love that. I travel just to see that. People tell me, sir, why you're taking all the stress? I'm not stressed. I'm looking forward to that. And when I'm coming back here, I've got my work. But I still look forward to be there. I've got another presentation on Wednesday, just after the Ganesh is on Tuesday, right? So I'll be traveling on that day. That presentation is not on sketching, it's the dynamics of a multi-storied buildings from an architect's point of view. So architecture is something which you just get into, right? It's not something you take on as no, either you are or you are not. So get into that stage that you eat, walk, talk, sleep, architecture. Of course, interior design is a part of it, right? All engineering is part of architecture. It's very sad that in India, engineering is supposed to be a higher or whatever, but worldwide you go. I've been a project manager with British Aerospace because I was an architect. They chose me, of course, because I'm a Canadian by, what do you call that, choice? I'm a thoroughbred Indian, but I took citizenship there, so they wanted an American or Canadian architect. So they chose me. Of course, luckily I had green eyes also, so they felt quite comfortable with that. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, you had some question, ma'am. Yes, I'll come to you.
So I had two questions.
Yes.
Do you prefer quality over quantity when you're sketching?
Quality without any blink of an eye.
Quality.
Quality.
And do we accept the mistakes we make in sketching? So often what happens is your visual concept that you have in your head isn't precisely translated on the sheet. So do you advise trying to correct that or go with the flow?
No, I'll tell you something. It takes a lot of courage to stand up in front of an audience or your client or anybody else and say, yes, I was wrong. But once you learn that, everything else becomes easier. Definitely, we are humans. We are not angels or, superhumans. We commit mistakes. Even while you're sketching, you'll commit mistakes. The sketches I showed you have tons of mistakes. When you do a sketch, I usually sit back and I say, oh, I've done this, this, this. I find umpteen mistakes. But then, do I throw it off? It depends how bad the mistakes are, right? I wish I could sketch out and give you examples. Maybe someday we'll have that kind of a session where I'll do something and I'll tell you where we went wrong, how it is to be corrected and so forth. So to answer your questions, yes, we have to admit, and I admit to my clients, saying that the arch of what I've shown has to be a little shallow or steep or whatever it is, right? Instead of that flooring, what I'm trying to show, because I couldn't do it within that short time, it should be so and so, or the chandelier, or whatever it is, right? So don't feel or don't hesitate to admit that something has gone wrong, right? We spend half our lives covering up our mistakes. It's not good.
So my question was more of to help me understand if creativity, so I've heard this idea or theory where often teachers make their students sketch up to 300 sketches, and apparently ideas come out once you've filled out the generic ideas that come to you at first, and then your originality begins. It was more based on that instead of trying to cover up mistakes.
I've been into teaching, I think 7 years, maybe 8 years after I passed out. So that gives me about 35, 36 years into teaching. And I can say with very humbly, but with pride, that I have never changed in all these years the concept with which a student comes out with. Because he or she has got some idea, right? We have no right as a teacher to change that concept. We can improve it, right? So if your first concept has got some material in it, right? The idea is there. So as a good teacher, a teacher should sort of build on that idea, not let them do 100 sketches. Because then the focus shifts from your original design, what you were thinking, right? Or she is making me do so many sketches. So you depart from your original idea. That is not design. A teacher should be such that he or she makes that idea work without changing it. And I just told you, I'm very happy, proud, very humbly proud that in these last 36 years, I have never changed the idea of any of my students. So if somebody is making you do, you have to defend your ideas if you believe in them, right? First, you should believe in your ideas. Believe in yourself as a person, as a designer, and then you defend your design, right? It may have faults, definitely. The teachers are there to help you identify the faults, if such, and then a way around it, not change it, right? Have I answered?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There's a guy at the back. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So, like, if it comes to architecture or interior designing anything, so the basic thing is like scale and proportion. Like, do we have got any tip or trick mentally to have that scale and proportion on the paper? Like while sketching also, it is a major thing.
Definitely.
So,
There's no sketch pad here. I would have given you in 2 minutes what the answer I would have given you if I had a sketch pad with me, right? Scale definitely is important. Everything is related to a human body, right? Yes. Of course, if you design it for some aliens, the scale may change, but we are still doing projects for the humans, right? And so we have to stick to that scale. Historically, you will find, I'm sure you have studied history of architecture, right? Right? You have this thing called Buland Darwaza, right? All these forts had huge gates. That was to establish the authority and to make the common man feel, oh my God, I'm going to the king or the ruler or whatever it is. So all these things were done with a thought in mind. And they didn't with intent. But for a normal thing, if nowadays it's a trend, you go to some big restaurant or, you have these 10 feet doors, fine, no problem, because the ambience demands it. Or the designer would like to say, yes, I'm giving the welcome to the guys who want to come in, right? So scale, yes, scale has to be there. You have to have a reason if you're going out of scale. Like, have you seen a door to a house which is 5 feet wide? 5 feet means 1.5 meters, just the door. So the scale, and it has to relate to a human being. No? Of course, we see all these big doors, Nowadays, everything is possible. The second thing is you shouldn't lose the aesthetics if you are using out of scale proportions for anything. We cannot make a chair which is like this high and we say this is a dining chair. We are totally out of scale there, right? If you have more questions, just write to me and I'll be more than happy to respond. There's one guy somewhere there. Yes?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I'm a kind of person who is more interested in 5-dimensional sketches. But when I draw 5-dimensional sketches, I don't have to follow the physics, for example, like gravity. But when I want to bring that into the 3-dimensional, so what's the trick for that, sir?
You are a guy doing what? Can you be a little slow?
I'm a kind of person who is more interested in 5-dimensional sketches. 5-dimensional surrealism sketches.
Okay.
So when I draw something like that, I don't have to follow the physics, right?
Well, most of that kind of sketching ideas would definitely defy physics, yes.
Yeah, but when I convert that into 3D, I need to follow some logic, physics, everything, right? So what is the trick for that?
See, there's something in architecture called design. You can go wild with that, right? But then also we are answerable, and there's something called buildability of whatever you design. That buildability, when you look into, converts into building construction and its related studies. Thank you. So, yeah, thank you for offering it. You can turn it towards them so they won't see me. Anyway, so you can go wild, but you have to be answerable as an architect that whatever you have designed can be built, right? I've seen wonderful designs. The architects out there, with all due respects, in the Middle East, they are just outrunning each other just to create a new shape. What that building is wasting, material and space, nobody is answering that, because architecture today is to compete with a shape. I'm sure you have seen buildings with this revolving body, revolving thing, and all kind of wild ideas. Nobody is questioning what is the wastage in that, right? Everybody wants, because that money is coming in free from them. It's all those, I'm sure there's no Arabs here. Is there any Arab here? My roots are Arab, but I call them stupid, because they want to see this new building with a new whatever, and they'll just pour in money. Half of these buildings in Dubai are vacant, right? But they want to still keep building, which is good for us because we get the design fees and all that. But as a human, as a responsible architect, are we going in the right direction? We have to get up and ask. So coming back to your thing, you can go and do whatever you want, but be inside your heart, ask, can it be done? Right? Then you'll retract a little bit, and then you convert it into a 3D, whichever format you are using. Then you'll get something which can be built. Right? Any more?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I think, Manoj, we are exceeding time here, but this is not my time. That's question and answer.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
Sir, I am a diploma student and I am currently doing my BArch, but I am still poor in my sketching. What will you advise me for my better sketching?
What media you are comfortable with? The pads or the actual paper and pencil?
Paper and pencil.
Paper. Go yourself, buy a few pencils, the softer ones. Buy a good A3 size pad, a number of them. You start doing lines. I used to conduct these classes of how to start sketching. right? We do about 2 to 3 weeks of just doing lines, straight lines, diagonal lines, blah, 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 then circles and, all those things, till you feel comfortable that you can sketch a simple thing as simple as a chair.
Yes, sir.
Don't think you should start a complicated element. Start with simple things. Do cubes, how they interact with each other, cylinders. Do simple things, which is definitely taught everywhere when you attend sketching classes. That's the reason, because once you are comfortable with that, then you imagine you want to do that particular object in a 3D with 1 point or 2 point or 3 points, whatever it is. But start with a very simple target. Don't make the target difficult, because you will abandon the idea of sketching, because you won't be able to do it the first time, second maybe. So choose very simple things, as simple as a chair or anything in the house which you know. My mom used to like my sketching. Every time she used to say, go and draw that, that chula. Mom, I've tried, no, another one. So I tried doing those simple things, as simple as that. At that time when we were children, the cooker came into the market. Before that, we didn't have cookers, right? So that was another thing I was made to do, So try simple things. Then you will yourself feel comfortable to raise the bar, right? Don't start here. I don't know if you are into sports. If you do high jumps, where do you start? You don't put the bar at 6 feet, right? You start somewhere here, and then you slowly. That's how we raise the bar. And then you'll be putting a good foundation, because you'll be learning it in the right way, the S curve, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much, guys. Nice being here. And sorry for that extra time.
I think this is wonderful, because never have we had such a lengthy question-answer session after the speaker has spoken. Even in professional events where architects are talking, everyone just so quiet, and either they don't want to ask or they haven't understood what was spoken. I wish I was the first one.
Thank you so much, sir. And as rightly said by Manojji, at the present time when everybody is contemplating towards working only on a digital platform, it's very refreshing to see sketches and paintings and the relevance of the same, be it conceptual or be it the original. So before we go to the next speaker for the event, we will just have a small AV presentation by Darpan Furnishings. For every I3 series that we have been doing, both Darpan Furnishings have been the foremost all the time, helping us through the sponsors, and without a sponsorship of this kind, an event of this kind would not be possible. So thank you so much, Suleiman Bhai, for always being there. Yes, please give a big round of applause. And likewise, Ved Group and Ved Group also has been constantly working with them. So with us for all the I3 series.
Imagine this. You open the door and step into a space. Instantly, you realize that every corner has its story. With each step, the story unravels before you. The walls share tales of the style and personality of those who inhabit the space, while the floor narrates their sense of comfort and coziness. The doors gracefully depict a story of elegance, and the bedding whispers a tale of warmth and rest. Go into the dining area and be amazed by the story of togetherness and celebration. As you enter the living area, a beautiful tale of happiness and kinship unfolds, while the windows quietly reveal a story filled with light and wonder. That's the magic of furnishings. The ability to turn an empty house into a home filled with style and wonder. And that's exactly what Darpan Furnishings is all about. From one store in 2001, Darpan Furnishings has grown to an 8-store network spread across the Twin Cities. Today, we continue to define the home furnishing segment, evoking style and wonder in every product and service we deliver. The passion to weave an exclusive style statement for spaces has made Darpan Furnishings the preferred partner for interior designers and architects across South India. Step into our showrooms and you will discover a wide range of furnishings designed to enhance your narrative, from exquisite designer collections to sought-after imported brands. We have it all. Whether you are seeking Turkish shears or wallpapers of the finest quality, elegant curtains or exquisite brass artifacts, you will find everything you need to breathe life into your design concepts. Whether you are seeking exquisite sofa fabrics or blinds, stunning decor pieces or luxurious bed sheets, you will find everything you need to tell a wonderful story. Darpan Furnishings, bringing homes alive.
I request Suleiman Bhai to please say a few words.
Yeah, good afternoon. I think, am I audible or I use this? I think this is audible, right? Yeah. The chairman of IIID and the management team of Root School and the eminent speakers and students. It has always been a pleasure to be a part of IIID, and especially when the IID team offered that we want to start this program called I3, where there will be an engagement with students. So we said immediate yes, because always we believe and feel that the education part of any interiors or architecture should be supported, because it is the duty of the people who run the architecture industry or the interior design industry has a responsibility towards education of architecture and interior design, because we do that business, right? So as a passion, we always have been supporting whatever the student engagement or the educational engagement that IIT has for its fellow members or for the students. And it has always been a passion and pleasure to be a part of such events. Having said this, now while coming, I was just trying to put some points on my phone while I was traveling from my home to this place, that what I'll speak. What do I speak where we have eminent architects and designers sitting here and the students of an architecture school, because we are not an authority on architecture or on interior design. I would like to just touch upon some points wherein you as students of final year of architecture or interior design may be stepping out into the real world of maybe working or doing architecture or practicing architecture or working with some architectural firm. What is the difference between your cozy school classrooms where you are very well protected by your teachers, guided, in a real world where whatever you have learned will be put to test, right? So I thought that I'll speak something on those lines, and I'll not maybe scare you with the corporate culture and your typical day at any of the corporate offices. But I would like to say that whatever you have learned, embrace this learning, that how your learning can make you a person wherein you stand out wherever you work in a community or a society or wherever you are going to work. How can you stand out? What kind of person you want to be? What your education is going to translate into the real world. We, in our business world, do a lot of audits. We have financial audit, we have process audits, day in and day on. When my day starts, I'm with my auditors to audit each and every transaction that goes on. So have you audited your 4 years of your schooling here? How do you audit your own self? What is your inner self? Audit yourself on a daily basis so that you are ready when you come out into the real world where you are going to apply whatever you have learned. And as our eminent speakers, when they speak, they will also maybe guide you and tell you that whatever you learn and whatever you practice may not be the same, right? So I would like to say that while you are in the school, don't try to learn whether I will be a problem solver or I will be a person who will understand the problem. If you understand the problem, it will be like understanding the brief of your client, that what he needs. Then I think you can define the solution. If you try to actually become a problem solver, I don't think you will be able to understand what the real problem was about or what was the real brief all about, because your entire thought process will be on that brief of the client or his lifestyle or what he wants. So I was just actually jotting down some point that what exactly a person should look once you step out into the real world, how to prepare, how to be ready for it. Yes, you might have your best of professors, the best of schools, but no school or no university in the world can prepare you 100% for the world outside. It is you, your own self, will have to learn. And as Mr. Qureshi was telling, the last day of your university, you're not done. You start from there, right? You actually start from there. So with that, I would like to wish all the best to all of you. And I thank IID for actually giving this opportunity to be a part of this wonderful program called IIID. Thank you.
I request Suleiman Irani sir to please stay back. And this is when I would like to call upon Principal Roots Collegium, Mr. Hari Krishna, HOD Interior Design Department, Mrs. Nivedita Bose, and IID HRC Chairperson, Architect Manoj Vahi, to please come and felicitate sir. Thank you so much, everybody. This is where we go to the next speaker for this event, and that is Architect Amita Raj. Architect Amita Raj is a practicing architect and interior designer. She graduated from School of Planning and Architecture, JNA and FAU, Hyderabad in 1994, and completed her master's in interior design from CSIIT, SAP. She was a recipient of gold medal in project dissertation in the master's program. She got her initial training while working in architectural associates under late architect Subhash Narayan and architect Anand Sagar. She is the co-founder and principal architect of her firm Artes, which started in the year 2004 along with her partner architect G. Ram Mohan Reddy. The firm provides design services in architecture and interior design for a wide variety of public and private buildings and a substantial amount of experience in residential, commercial, hospitality, and group housing projects. Her firm recently won an award at India Architectural Summit in Hyderabad for outstanding work in interiors for residential spaces. She believes in creativity comes from heart, and she practices the same. She's presently visiting faculty to JNFAU SPA for the master's program and has been invited as juror to various architectural and interior design institutes. She was also the guest speaker in the event Meet the Teachers at JNFAU. She was the co-curator of Best Out of Waste workshop, that's something I was mentioning, conducted by IIID in the year 2019 and 2022. So she has participated in many seminars and workshops and was presented a certificate of achievement for completing Green Village Bamboo Construction course in Bali in 2017. She has been associated with IIID HRC from the year 2014 to 2021, and that is when she has played various roles, be it as a juror, the advisory committee. She has also worked as the editor. She was the winner of the quiz competition also, which was held by IIID HRC. So she loves traveling, and she has traveled across many countries in Europe and Asia to experience the architectural history and culture of place. So put your hands together to welcome the next speaker for the evening, architect Amita Raj.
Thank you for the introduction, Sushmita. And thank you, sir, Architects Qureshi, sir, for the wonderful presentation and talk. I mean, we could actually see your body of work in your sketches, and it's very rare to see one person doing so many sketches and with so much precision and detailing. Thank you so much. And good afternoon to one and all. To all my seniors present, it gives me immense pleasure to be standing here and presenting my journey. And to all the aspiring students of architecture, thank you so much, IIID HRC, for giving me this opportunity to be presenting here. So I have around 22 plus years experience in this field, and definitely 20 minutes is not it's a short time to describe my journey, but what I will be doing is I'll be highlighting some of the influences along my path, which helped me shape my ideologies and methodologies. So I want to start with a quote. I'm sure all of you know this. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. This is a very famous quote by Steve Jobs. And it means that, you have to give emphasis and importance to the dots. So all of you are, running and, going at a very rapid pace in architecture. You'll be graduating, then you'll be moving ahead and, taking up a job and starting your practice in future. But time to time, you may need to take a pause. As just now Suleimanji was saying, you need to audit yourself from time to time. So that is what we all need. So when I was putting across my journey in my profession life and whatever influences I had in my path from my childhood to my college days and all. So that pauses we need to just know about ourselves, which will help us, to understand ourselves better in our future, more informed choices we can make when you do something like that. So I would like to just talk a little bit about my early influences in life. I was born amidst in the older city of Hyderabad, and my childhood was around that area. So all the famous monuments like Charminar, Char Kaman, and the Makkah Masjid were like walking distance from my ancestral home. So I grew up amidst all this architecture and the heritage what we have. Somewhere during that time, I was not very conscious of the fact, because definitely as a child, you don't really look into the architectural part. So, but subconsciously it got ingrained in me. And when I look back, I realized that, at a later stage of mind, how that influenced me in my later part of the life. So that is a pause. When I was putting across my journey, I realized that whatever you do it in your childhood days definitely come back as a full circle when you're a little later in life. So also, this is This is the Malwala Palace. I don't know if any of you know. Right now it doesn't exist, but it was built in the late 18th century, and it is actually our family were the successors of this palace. And when I look at that, this is one of the few palaces which have been built in the Mughal and the Rajasthani style of architecture. And it had some very huge wooden arches with, which has lacquer and beautiful paintings around it. So this place is very dear to me because it's from my grandmother's side, my grandmother's maternal side, and I grew up playing in that area. So when I look back all these places, you can see the wooden arches and the lacquer paint. So they had these two big galleries on either side, the wooden galleries, which was like almost 18 meters in length. Today it doesn't exist. But this is where I grew up, and the influence I had, which I realized much later. This is the grand entrance of the Malwala Palace. This is a very favorite photo of mine where I can see my father and his young days and all my grandparents and the entire family standing right there in front of the palace. I also grew up seeing my mother, who's an artist. She graduated from College of Fine Arts in JNFAU, and she used to teach painting there. So I remember she getting, this is one of her painting actually, which I have it in my office. Can anybody recognize this art form? Anybody here can recognize this art form? This is what actually she used to do in college. JNFU had this course where they used to teach this. Anybody from the audience or students who recognize this? It is not in India, this place. It is in Sri Lanka. Nobody? Okay, this is a famous art called the Batik art, which my mother used to teach, and I remember as a child I used to help her. This is the reception ceiling what we have seen in Bentota Beach House. I'm sure Manoj you will knowing because we went there together. And it's a beautiful art where the entire ceiling was done in the Batik panels. So this is what I have seen my mother doing in college. This is a very famous art where they heat the wax and they create beautiful patterns in fabric. And unfortunately, it's a dying art today. I mean, there's not much happening in this art. But the technique is so good. I mean, we have to revive it somehow. But I've seen its beautiful prints. I even have a lot of them in my house. Again, it is one of her colleague in architecture who has actually inspired me to take up this course. I did not know anything about architecture. I grew up. So he influenced me and inspired me to take up a course. This is my college, JNFAU. If you see, the back building was not there earlier. Only the front part was there. So when I joined architecture, only the fine arts and architecture were together. And we were all in one floor. My second floor was the fine arts and the first floor was architecture. I think it's the vice versa, sorry. So, yeah. So, ragging was a very big thing those days. I mean, it was something which I came from an all-girls school. I was not very, this was the first time I'm studying in a co-ed school. So, but ragging, I mean, I thought first day everybody is getting over-friendly with me. What is happening? They're asking me for tea. They're taking me to the gate and all that. So that was something which was very strange, and I felt overwhelmed. What is this happening? So this is what happened, but over a period of time, this is what they used to do to us. So right now, I think all of you all don't get into that ragging because it's banned and all, but the ragging sessions actually helped us to know each other, to collaborate with each other. I used to just, even when I see fine arts department and all, we used to just walk across the corridor, see the art students painting, making murals, creating nude paintings, still life and all that. So there was so much to do in that area. At one point, in the initial days, I was thinking, what am I doing here? What is this? But later I realized there was so much to do, be it art, architecture, craftsmen. There's so much carpentry. And you pose so many questions, you get possible answers. there was a variety of things. When you start looking at that, the first picture shows they actually had a face painting day, you know. So they used to just, as part of the ragging, they used to just put all of us together and do a face painting. So this is the mud structure which we had in JNFU earlier. Now it's not there. And then all these trips which we used to go to Rudraram and also. So this collaboration, that kind of interaction with both the streams together in the first year, second year, helped us to know each other well. And the seniors who used to rag us became very good friends later. So as part of college life, you know, these are the memories you catch and hold with you, and later, you know, you relish it. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, kid, enjoy your college life. Don't be in a race. Enjoy every movement. Oh, sorry. And this is the older us, our batch, who recently celebrated our 25th reunion. Not recently, 2 years before COVID time. So with all our teachers, we had a reunion again in college. So like every architect, I also had my, the masters in the field as inspiration. I used to look up to, I hope everyone knows this picture, who's the architect of this? Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at students, I mean, students, okay. So this is the Barcelona Pavilion, and I was very fascinated with Mies van der Rohe at that time because he was one of the pioneers in the international movement. I mean, there was, whatever we had around us, I mean, he was an architect who used to think ahead in his times. There was so much to learn, and fortunately, I could visit this place later in my life, thanks to IIID and the yearly trips. We actually made a trip to Barcelona, Spain, and all the other European countries. So I also had an inspiration from Mies van der Rohe, and later, of course, I had other favorites like Bjarke Ingels, Zaha Hadid, and so many masters in the field who I took inspiration from. So this is a little later stage in my life where we went to Baku, and this is I hope you all know, Hyder Aliyev Center. My first slide had the internal picture of Hyder Aliyev Center. And this was a really enriching experience where actually we were lucky to have the architect from Zaha Hadid's team to explain us about the structure. These are some other pictures of our trips where we went to the Gaudi land in the Barcelona, and in the Turkey you could see aqueducts. I mean, amazing architecture and the thought process where you had all the plumbing and the aqueducts. And there's so much to learn. So my point here is, as students, please take those trips whenever possible, wherever possible, and please don't go in groups. You end up just taking selfies in front of the buildings. Go alone, take those trips, and there is so much to learn. When you go abroad and when you see the Sri Lanka, the Jeffrey Baba architecture, I mean, it's amazing. The way he has tried to connect the landscape and the built form, and the Cambodia trip, the Angkor Wat. So please be open to take trips. I mean, it's not only India or abroad. I mean, wherever you get a chance to study about materials, to study about architecture, the culture of the place, and there is so much to learn. So, but you need to go alone, single, I mean, or a group of two, but definitely not in groups because you end up just making it a vacation. So as every architect, we also, after graduating, I started working in Architectural Associates. We worked there for 4 years. Me and my partner Ram, we were together in the office. And somewhere, it was a very senior firm with 30 years of experience. We could understand the nitty-gritties of office management also, apart from learning design from the seniors in the field. And this was the first project after coming out of the firm. As everybody, I mean, you get your first project through a known contact. So this opportunity came in terms of a twin bungalows which we got. This is my partner's cousins, a brother and sister, and they wanted twin bungalows in Jubilee Hills. So this was the first project in 2004 where we built, again, we used The clients were known to us, so we used very simple lines, clean lines, and just we were commissioned to do architecture and interiors of the place. So again, that influence of minimalistic architecture and all, from the field. Our next project, this is actually our next project, which is our office. We started using, this is actually the main prime area of Amirpet, where I stay presently. And the context, if you see, we have an acre of a land in this busy area. So this is the present building. So partly the road-facing yellow part, which you see, is we have converted into office. So this is belonged to my husband's family, so he gave us a space which was lying vacant to convert it into office. This was a very old heritage building which they had, and again ancestral property, because as we tell, the successors were from the Nizam style, and we had a lot of properties this side. So the yellow part which we converted, which was an old structure, we refurbished it and made it into our office. You can see some pictures on the right side. And we tried, this is more like, it was more like an adaptive reuse project for us, where we tried to keep all the finishes intact. We didn't try to change much. And we also had a stepwell at the back, which later we had filled it. But the pink part, what you see, is our residences. It's a joint family, so our cousins and us stay in that. And the front part was converted into an office. This is some of the pictures which we have created of, this is our entry lounge, and which is adjoined by the studio. This is the main core area where most of the time is spent here, where we also meet our clients. This is the residence which is there at the back. This I designed in the year 2002 for our family. It was earlier we didn't have anything, so later when I got married, that time it was designed. So this is the context what we had even in our office, where we had a lot of open space and greenery and all that. This is a shed which we have, because we also have a furniture manufacturing outlet which we have, which me and my husband have started. And if you see on the right side, the students, staff, enjoying the greenery. These are the breakout areas where they just come for lunch and activities. So when as I told you, I grew up seeing all ancestral and antique furniture and artifact in teak wood and rosewood. So sensibility of such furniture led us to creation of our own furniture brand, which is called Subteak Hai, where me and my husband, we make custom design furniture in teak wood as per the requirement. So I'm going to keep asking questions, because can anybody tell me what is this building? No, I don't want Sushmita to say. Anybody? Because with this picture, I'm going to talk about, we have done so many big, small projects. We have associated with a builder. We did high rises and we did clubhouses, a lot of projects. But with all these experiences in place, we slowly, with this experience, we decided we have consciously and unconsciously created a methodology for us. So I'm just coming back to the methodology. I just want to start with this example, which is an experiential architecture in the lines of deconstructivism. Anybody who can recognize this? No? So this is a Jewish museum in Berlin, which was designed by Daniel Libeskind. So when I look at this, it's an experiential architecture. It's something to do with a narrative, because of the Holocaust which happened with the Jews. He set up a narrative which actually shows the erasure and the void of the Jews. So why I'm trying to tell you this is, when you talk about spatial narratives, as you dwell deeper into the realm of architecture, you'll soon realize design is not just about lines or angles or plans. It's much more deeper. Whether you design a house or a salon or a commercial projects, it's about the narrative you're setting across. So I say architects are not just designers, they are more about storytellers. So with every project, we are trying to say a narrative with reference to context, with reference to the brief given to us, with reference to materials. So when you say spatial narratives, it goes beyond aesthetics. It is more on a sensory and intellectual and emotional level. And whether it's a home or a restaurant, it is how we shape those memories in the spaces we unfold, and ultimately giving some meaning to the space. So this is also an interior picture of that same building where he tried to create those angular walls and the very random openings, just to show how the feeling of those Jews at that time was. Now, when I say spatial narratives, I'm going to take you briefly through 4 of my projects where every project may have used a context and a narrative. So I would like to start with the first project, which recently I've done. It's a salon in opposite KBR. The context is nature inspired. So the narrative or the story I'm trying to put across is what is the concept I've created, what made me use that concept. So this is the context you see. You have this huge green oasis, the KBR park, and then you have that Art Beat Saloon right opposite that. So this was a challenge. The clients didn't want me to create a place with using trendy materials and the latest finishes and all that. They wanted me to look at KBR and then design. So it has to be in reference to the context of KBR, because they just wanted a place which opens up to that. So the challenge here was, what do I do? How do I start? And I mean, we start looking at images of KBR, what the flora, fauna, the animal. So the hardscaping. So then we came across a board where we thought we should design using materials and textures. Use of natural materials like wood, like stone, like concrete in its bare form, and all that, which gives a sense of warmth, texture, and an authenticity to the place. Organic shapes, where we derive from the animals and the plants and all that, we try to use in furniture and wallpapers. And then indoor plants, which give more oxygen to the interior space. Daylight and views, texture variety, and again, use of natural fabrics, connection to outdoor spaces, and all that. So this is how we came across. I'll just slide through the pictures, it's self-explanatory. The furniture is again in rattan, which we took from the Vickers story, and we tried to keep it with flowy lines, and even the reception table was done in, actually we wanted to get a block of stone, but it was not practical there, so we made it in fiber. These are some images where the flooring was all in micro-topping, and all the textures were lime plastered textures. So the doors were all done in jute, sandwich between glass. So all the colors, if you see, are derived again, the brown, beiges, and the whites from nature. So this is the place where we actually have the KBR view, and we put some mirrors also so that it gets reflected to wherever you see it from. So the night view, what we have. The client wanted some different, he wanted to be an anomaly. He wanted some different color in his space, so we tried to give him some vibrant color in his room. The spa area. Use of terracotta, again, that's a micro-stopping texture, what we have used. This is the second context where we designed a commercial and parking complex for the Yellamma temple in Balkampet. It's very close to our office. So this is how the scene is every year. You have thousands and lakhs of people coming in because they celebrate the Bonalu festival with so much of fervor and excitement, and they have cultural programs, music, and processions going on. So with this in mind, and our narrative, what we wanted to set was again tradition and culture inspired. And then we have, this was a site, which you see this side, the red, and that is a temple, that side. So this, the complex It need not be related to the temple, but again, we wanted to take some elements from the temple and use it. So something symbolically we wanted to use it. So this is a temple which is there, and if you see, all South Indian temples have the typical features where you have the entry tower, the gopuram, and the pyramidal shape called Vimana above the sanctum sanctorium. And then there's so many frescoes inside and outside the temple, and then you have the sculptures and all attires. So we thought we'll just use some elements where there are a lot of narratives going around inside with frescoes. So these are some plans where the ground floor was a parking, basement was a parking space, and ground floor backside again was a parking space. And every year in Yellama temple, there are a lot of sacrifice. They have some animal sacrifice done where people and families come together there. They book a room and they stay there and they sacrifice and again eat over there. So that was how the procedure was. So they wanted some rooms to rent it out. So in the ground floor with the back side, we have taken that. Front side was kept for the shopping areas. If you see on that picture, we have a double height there where there's a raised platform where the sellers will come and sell flowers and puja needs and all those things in the central area. And the top floor again has rooms, and we have given a car lift so that the cars could go till the terrace. And there is also a banquet hall which people use during festivals and occasions. So now just what do we use? What kind of facade do we create? So we try to take out some symbolic element like as I told you, the religious frescoes, paintings, and then the pyramidal shape. We wanted to just do a symbolic element like an abstract take from the temple. So this is the elevation which we've created where we have used, you can see in the next slide. This is what we created where there's a metal sheet at the back, and the front we have this, the structure in aluminum framing and the fabric, tensile fabric. And the Bonalu is dedicated to goddess Mahakali. So, I mean, just an abstract form, like a mural we created on the wall with stone and concrete, which depicts that. And the glass, if you see, it's a concave shaped glass, which I've used just to depict a symbolic way. And we also try to use some wood in the front to give a little modern character to the building. The third project, what I'll be showing is again how to create a brand story. So this is a nail bar which is there again in Kavuri Hills, right on the main busy commercial road. The context is commercial, and these are two young entrepreneurs who wanted to create their own brand. The brief given to us was very simple. It's a gender neutral place. It has to be luxurious because they wanted to start with a bang. They wanted all high-end clients. They wanted, you know, the space to look luxurious. And again, they also wanted simplicity, and it has to be delicate and graceful. So with this in mind, we started doing the zoning and we started creating spaces. The front part, which is the main Kavuri Hills main road part, we tried to do the semi-private areas, and the back side we did the private areas. So the main nail art area is in the front with some exclusive areas like a VIP room and procedure rooms in the front. And from the lift lobby, from the reception, you enter either right or left to these areas. The pedicure and manicure were housed at the back. So clients were actually had vast traveling experiences, and they were very well versed with the global spa scene. So they were very specific in the requirements and wanted the space to look very luxurious, minimalistic, and at the same time be very functional. So the main challenge is giving us to build to the maximum area and balance it with, you know, interesting private and unique spaces. So this was the layout which was done, where the nail stations and the front. And so this is how we went about doing the reception. We wanted to create some very energetic elements like the zigzag partition so that, you know, it creates some interest. We had MDF, CNC cut MDF letters on the wall, the finishes. The main area, which is the Nela station, we did it with the concept of the yin and yang, where we have positive and negative areas, where the private areas were housed inside and the general areas were outside. This is how we created the partition. And again, the lighting, profile lighting, which defines a way. And the stations had pink onyx stone in the front as cladding material. This is a dry bar, which we created like a feature wall there. The pedicure and the manicure areas. We use little curvilinear lines everywhere to make it more spacious. The cafe and the juice bar and the VIP room, where again the colors we have used differently. So when you talk about branding, it's also about colors, the finishing, which actually they have opened one more place in Dubai where they have used the similar colors and the palette, and also the logo which they have created was very, dealt it in a different way. So this is their room where they wanted some to look professional at the same time feminine. My last project is the community park, which we recently pitched in and we got. This I am doing in collaboration with the SRA, Sridhar Reddy Associates. And if you see the context, KPHB is a very, very populated area, and in the middle of it, you see that site, which is around 2.85 acres. And it leads to that green line, if you see, the road leads to the Forum Mall. So this is the context, and it was a very interesting project because, again, here we are trying to engage the community, we are trying to, interact with community through our project. So we went about brainstorming what can we do. It's again, this was initial level where we thought we'll do community health related things like walking trails, bicycle track, outdoor gym, then sports and recreation like playground for children, sports fields, tennis, convention center which could house, because that was a requirement from them. It's a government initiative and they wanted a bigger space for convention, for gatherings, like 600 people. And then we have the cultural space like open theater for around 300 people. The signage is public art, landscape, and social spaces. So all this brainstorming and all this brief we created and we did a presentation. But again, before actually going there, this was the picture of the launch which we did, calling the entire community of that area. It was like a very political event for us. I mean, if you see a local MLA is sitting, the corporate is sitting. I mean, the MLA has his own agenda because election time, he wanted to do something for the public. He wanted to do, create this project so that he get the votes. So anyhow, the main interest here was we could engage with the people there. We could interact with the people. I mean, the people got so excited and they were like so responsive. We created a big screen to show them the project. So the idea here is whenever you're doing a project, even in whatever scale or whatever, whoever are your end users, the communication with them is very, very important because ultimately they are going to use it. If you design something fancy and keep it and all that, it's not going to work. So this is a very big urban scale project, but community engagement was very good. In fact, one lady got so excited, like she was coming to me and asking for selfies. I mean, I started feeling like a celebrity there. So that interaction happened, which was very good. This is how the layout looks here, where we have the entry. I mean, we have the gym area, and I mean, I've just said we have the gym for women and men separately. Then we have, do I have some time? Can I just show a walkthrough of this? It's better fast. That video. I mean, it's better with the walkthrough is what I feel. Can you just put on the video? sorry for a very long video here, but I thought video would be self-explanatory than rather me. So a lot of thought process has gone here while deciding on the walking trails, the bicycle track, the nodal points where we give sculptures and all. The work has started with the compound wall, but I'm sure most probably government projects definitely take their time, but yes, hoping it starts soon. So I just want to end here with, just get back to the presentation. So anyway, this all. Just little down, actually. Yeah, I just want to end, but I really want to touch this topic is materiality in architecture. And these days, like, it's not, earlier it would be not the primary thing to consider because it was secondary. But these days, with so much of advancement in digital fabric, digital science, materiality has become a very, very important aspect of architecture. I mean, with it's so dynamic and with ever-changing, with design trends, ever-changing technology, and the sustainable options, there's a lot we can do with materials. So as architects of the future, I mean, when you look at materials, what is it that you just accept it as they are, or you want to explore and get into something more creation? So I was very lucky to attend this bamboo workshop, which happened in Bali in 2017, where I got a certificate from this Green Village Ubud, where actually they taught us about bamboo from the very basic level. So this is a 3-floor building in Ubud, where you can see the section where everything about that building is made in bamboo, except the foundation, which is done little bit with concrete. Everything else is bamboo, even the jointing, which is like tongue and groove type of jointing, the pillars which are there, which are like 3-floor height. So the harvesting, which is very important, is what we understood while attending that workshop. It was a 7-day workshop, which actually, you know, we ended up doing a structure. So we were asked to just initially do some conceptual sketches, try to get a structure. So if you see that, we just started making something, a miniature scale structure in bamboo. And ultimately one design would be selected and we actually make a life-size model. So this is a workshop which actually, starting May, he told us everything about bamboo. Like generally for construction, you use 3 to 6 years old bamboo. And then how you cut it, how you process it, how you take all the insects in the moisture content from it by using borax and boric acid. So things like that, in a very, you know, detailed level, we got to know about the bamboo part, and we ended up like a group making a life-size structure. The entire process was good, which unfortunately in India, I mean, even though it's the biggest producer of bamboo, where you have in Northeast, in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, so much we produce, but we don't really make structures as huge as what I've seen in Bali. This is something which every aspect, the furniture detailing, if you see, the roof you see, even the flooring, everything was done in bamboo, which was really amazing to see. Except the WC in a house, everything was bamboo, even the jointing, the, you know, and beautiful designs. It's not even like, you know, small structures, huge structures. Can anybody recognize the structure? Which is the biggest in the country? Biggest span bamboo structure in the country. Come on, this is... It is in Hyderabad. This is something Organo has done it. Yeah, Organo has done it with, see, the sensibility towards using sustainable materials has already come in. This is the eco-habitat which is there in Organo in the outskirts of Hyderabad near to Chevalla, where they have so many villas, and this is a central clubhouse area where they have used 85 feet span roof, almost like a 10,000 square feet of area. So this is more like everything is like net zero here. you use sustainable materials and all that. So consciously people are doing here in India too. It's more about your choice of materials, what you like to bring in, in your design. So as designers, my only thing is please explore on the materials, please do your travel, and take pauses also and look back, reflect back on your journeys. Don't be in a race to just, run. So that's how this is again one, yeah, again same thing. So in the end, just like to address and say a couple of lines for the students is, be true to yourself and work with conviction, passion and integrity, because ultimately your designs are a true reflection of what you are as an architect. And as Sir said, mind and hand sketching is very important. Whenever your designs are in the fluidic form, it's always better to, start with sketching, and that is what it is. So all the best for your journeys ahead, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Amita. Is there anything any student would want to ask? Any kind of a question that you have in your mind which you would want to clarify? No? Thank you so much for the presentation. In fact, I think if students have gone through the presentation, they can literally understand why we keep talking about the site, the context, the narrative, what exactly is the reason as to, or how exactly you have to work on the sheets. And very beautifully explained, each one of them. So thank you so much yet again. Big round of applause for... Okay, we'll just finish with the third speaker and then maybe we can ask the questions, okay? So, a big round of applause for Amita Raj. Thank you. The last but not the least, the third speaker for the evening, we have architect Prashanthi Narpasetti and architect Amulya Gullapalli from Design Dialogue. So they both are the founding partners for Design Dialogue, and it gives me immense happiness and pride because they both are CSIT alumni. So Prashanthi holds a master's degree in architecture from Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago. With a strong aesthetic sense and love for art and architecture, she is relentless in bringing global ideas to India markets. Amulya holds a master's in architecture degree from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, India, including DAAD, India Scholarship in Germany. With keen interest towards green architecture and a strong practical experience, she co-founded Design Dialogue to create a sustainable business practice. With a project footprint of over 1.5 lakh square feet over the last 5 years, Design Dialogue has a variety of portfolio in both architecture and interiors, from hospitality, retail, residential, and commercial spaces. From ideas to execution, they believe in telling the stories of every space, from broad narrative to the smallest and most meaningful details. I'll just talk about few of their achievements. There are many more. They are featured as India's 50 most powerful women in architecture and interior design industry 2023. They've been awarded as the first runner-up in Public Spaces A category at IIID HRC Design Awards 2022. They've been awarded as top 50 architects and designers under 40 years at iGen 2021 by Architects and Interiors India 2021. They have received award for Innovation Design category at TV5 Architecture and Indian Interior Design Awards 2019. And as I said, the list is endless because their entire resume had come, like their portfolio had come like an entire catalog of 73 pages. So I've just written few of them, but in just 5 years of their career, the kind of achievement they have is mind-blowing. So presenting Amulya and Prashanthi, please come forward and present.
Thank you, Sushmita ma'am, for the lovely introduction. A very good evening to all of you. Thank you, IIID, for giving us this wonderful opportunity to present our work once again and to connect with all you guys while we present our work and talk about our journey since the inception of the firm. So as Sushmita ma'am has already mentioned, we're Amulya and Prashanti, we're the co-founders of Design Dialogue. We founded the firm in 2018. We're an architecture and interior design firm based out of Hyderabad. To give you guys a bit of a background about ourselves, both of us have done our undergraduate study from CSIIT, after which Amulya has went on to do her master's in architecture from IIT Roorkee, whereas I've done my master's in architecture from Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago. In fact, how we started Design Dialogue has a funny backstory to it. We worked together as colleagues in multiple firms, and finally, in a parking garage, that's where the idea struck us. We've decided, we've ended up considering the possibility of teaming up together to start a firm. Though there were concerns from our family, as being young, we were just starting out, we just graduated, and we were just practicing in different firms. So they all, stopped us. So basically they had their own concerns. But then we just took the leap of faith to formally proceed with establishing Design Dialogue. When we pondered through what we could call our firm, we had n number of options, but Design Dialogue really struck with us, as we felt every space has a story to tell, and it constantly engages in dialogue with the user. So we would like to call ourselves a young practice that loves to explore and is quite dynamic and progressive in its thought process.
So when we started out, it was just the two of us working relentlessly. As you all know, a firm cannot just be established in the blink of an eye. We've checked off all the boxes that were related to establishing the firm. And individually, both of us were someone who really loved being organized. So we put in endless hours into structuring the firm, setting the branding right, deciding how to approach projects, doing market surveys, and how to handle finances as well. Today, we are an image that you see on the right. So along the way, clearly our ideology has changed and the way we handle projects has changed too. So we'd like to touch upon a bit on the design process. So I'm sure all you guys in college understand how important the design process is while building, working on projects related to design. So the same applies in practical experience, professional practice as well. So in fact, we feel that there are a lot more layers that get added, be it in terms of understanding the client brief much more better, finding the right skilled workmanship, or adhering to the budget that we have to work around. All these elements come into play. In fact, there's no one right way or one absolutely right answer to any design process. So the process involves a lot of background research and concept development, a lot of back and forth discussions as well. And amongst all this, there's a lot of uncertainty. It is actually not developing 100 ideas, but more about chucking the other 99 ideas that may not really work. So what must be kept in mind is each design is very unique, and it needs to address the needs of the user, and every decision needs to be very consciously made, considering all the factors that are involved, and we have to make sure that it addresses the needs of the user. So we'd like to take you through a couple of projects that we've done over the years. And what we've realized is, though there are so many layers that are involved in each project, somehow the design brief highlights one particular element or one particular major aspect through the whole design elements that takes the center stage. So here we're showcasing a couple of residential projects that we've done. We try to highly personalize the spaces that we design, try to understand where the client is coming from, what their preferences are, and how their lifestyle is. So a couple of user-centric designs. So this project is a residential project that we've done in my home, Bhuja, for a client who's very well traveled, and he had a passion for art, and he was very well traveled, and he also really liked the vintage rustic theme. So we try to incorporate the same in the space that is there. We've used really rustic natural stone that is very heavy. We try to fill in the living area wall with that. Whereas this is another living area from another project that we've done, wherein the family had two young daughters, and they had a feminine, like they were really keen on using pastels and floral elements. So this is how our approach to this project was. Again, this is another project that we've done, wherein the client was very keen on using neutral and subtle finishes. So here you understand how the design outcome changes so much based on the client. This is a nursery that we've designed, a 1500 SFT room that we had converted into a nursery in an existing bungalow. So we've made use of the natural light, and there were 2 toddlers using the space. So the idea was to screen the nap area and the play area, and also make use of the maximum natural light that was coming in. And then I'd like to take you through our own office. So that, I think, amongst all the projects that we've done, this one was the most challenging. We tried to put in all the elements and all the philosophies that we believed in, and create a space that was apt for our needs. So this is a conference room, and what you see behind is the workstation area and a small collaboration space. So yeah, these are the user-centric designs that we wanted to showcase. And moving on.
So similar to the spaces being very user-centric, we also would need to design spaces which would be brand-centric. So there are certain brands which would need multiple elements that would need to be showcased throughout design. So this particular one was one of our very initial projects. It is a space called Chai Kahani in Sainik Puri, which was a tea cafe, a very small tea cafe, but one of our most memorable projects that we've done. So these are the interiors. So in the interiors, you see a lot of natural elements which are used. So in fact, the chairs were all cane, and the curtains, basically the drapery which was used was all jute curtains. And in fact, once you enter into the space, you see an artwork which is done. Behind the previous. So you see an artwork in a floral form which is there. So in fact, this was one of the first cafes in the city that had artwork. So after which you see most of the cafes in the city having a lot of artwork and pastels, florals and all that. Moving on. So this is another image of the same space where we use Dholpur stone for the flooring. So here we've tried to have an indoor space and an outdoor space. So this is another project which is very brand-centric. So this was done for Pelli Sandadi by Velanki Foods. So it's another initiative that Velanki Foods came up with. This was in fact used as a storeroom, which was converted into a display space for their, for the display that they wanted to have for all these artifacts. So all of this. So in fact, in the design, the left image that you see, we have umbrellas which are hanging upside down. So this was one of the products that they had on display as well. We, we use them as the design element itself. In fact, most of the elements that you see in the design are all products which were to be on display, but which were also used as a part of the design. So next up, so apart from being user-centric and brand-centric, we would also have to keep in mind this site, which is, we think one of the most important aspects. So this particular project was for a well-established fashion designer in Hyderabad. This is for Varun Chakilam. It's a studio on road number 10. I think most of you must have already seen this space. So in fact, this site was, just an extension to an existing building. There was nothing there except for the tree. So the first time we visited this site, one of the first things that caught our attention was the tree which was right in the center. So we decided to, sort of evolve the design around the tree itself. So with the tree being the focal point, we designed the space, keeping in mind the designer's aesthetic. So he needed something which was more, which would not take away the attention from the clothes itself, because that needed to be the focal attention once somebody walks in. So this particular area has a skylight, which was, kept in a way so that most of the light filters from here. And the later portion of the space is all lit up using artificial light. Another project that we've done was for a space company called Dhruva Space. So this was a mezzanine space that we've done for them. This was another fun project where we got to interact with a lot of nerds, basically. So our message today to all of you would be that as designers, one can only thrive through constant learning. And this is something that we keep telling ourselves every day. So we would want to deliver the same message to you as well. Never stop learning and keep working towards your goals. Thank you.
Anybody has any kind of a question? Anybody has?
Hi, Amulya and Prashanti. I'm in great creative work. Just one question. You designed a boutique for a designer and all. So generally what happens when designers, they themselves are designers, and do you get that creative freedom when you design for a designer? I mean, they are creative people already. So how much freedom do you get when you take up projects like this?
In fact, it's all the more interesting because they have a really good understanding of design. So it kind of goes hand in hand that they try to give in their requirements, and then when we build on it and when we try to understand the brief, come up with a concept, they, once they are on board, like they are in sync with the idea, they only add further to it. But they don't really take away the freedom. At least that's how our experience was.
My question is, I had a totally opposite experience in this matter, where there was too much interference in, design. That's why. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening, ma'am. Actually, I want to start with an example because my example is connected to the question. Actually, I have one of my friend who designed his own house. When I entered into his house, everything looks beautiful. Each and every element looks beautiful. But finally, it didn't look like a house. It looked like a studio. So my question is, when I'm designing something, for example, if you take Amita ma'am, she designed a salon using KBR Park theme. She as a designer can nail it. But if I get their project, it doesn't look like salon. It looks like park only. So my question is, what kind of precautions I have to take when I design something? What kind of precautions I have to take to make it not look like an other design? Thank you.
I think first to begin with, whenever you're designing a space, you need to have a core concept in mind. So when, like for example here, KBR Park was the starting point for the design, right? From there it has evolved. So I feel it has to be the same thing for any design concept. There needs to be something, a focal point, like you start from there and then you develop it. Sometimes there would be a lot of things that would, sort of take away the attention, but you need to know when to eliminate things from that process. So out of 10 things, there might be 5 things which are really nice that you connect with. So start developing your design around those 5 things. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, ma'am, it sounds really good.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, just to add to...
No, I'm not joking. Really, it sounds right.
Yeah.
Just to add to your question, I mean, see, there is a difference between interior design and interior decoration. When you say, if I design, it looks like a park. So, you definitely, even in your college days, even in your course and all, every design starts with a concept. That concept can be direct or it can be very indirect. It's how you evolve. It's like from the base, like when you do all these conceptual drawings, it starts from a metaphor and then you go around doing it. So when it comes to KBR and using those textures and finishes, there was a connection which I made between, what is around with the context. That is what it is. I mean, you don't literally need, if you do see, there are no indoor plants much. It's mostly playing with textures and finishes and all, which are more natural in nature. And even the colors. So when you say, how do I go about it, it should have a deeper meaning and connection. That's what I feel. I hope it answers a little more.
I just wanted to add a few more points to that. So I feel it's very natural for you to feel that way when you are in design school, which is completely okay, in fact. And for this, what you can do is keep designing. That's the only solution wherein you will get better. Try to research as much as you can. Try to learn as much as you can. And then you'll get there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Architect Amulya and Architect Prashanti. Actually, where you have this notion that you become famous only at an old age, only when you have gray hair, only when you practice for 20 years, that these people at least completely negate. Just 5 years into practice and you can see the kind of roaring practice they have. And I'm sure each one of you have it. It's just a matter of time, it's just hard work, it's just practice. So put your hands together for the very own Amulya and Prashanti. So this is where we come towards the end of the session and we would start with the felicitation process. I would like to call the first speaker, Sarim Qureshi sir, please come on the stage also. So we'll do this felicitation process together. I have one question.
Ma'am, like my question is, whenever you design something and after that project completion, if we look at the back in that days, we feel like it could be improved. So how to deal with that thoughts in
So that is something that will never stop. Even after, I don't know, like maybe 50 years into the practice, you would still feel that way. That means you are evolving as a designer. So that is something that you should look at in a positive way rather than, you not doing something earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Done, I think we're good.
Yeah. Well, call everybody. First the speakers and then
One more dot. Any struggling time
Please
when
come,
you're
Amita.
starting an office firm, struggling, not coming, clients like that?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Struggling stage in starting office firm.
Struggling stage.
It's like self-motivation and we need to...
So during the initial years, it's mostly the referrals that some known person wants to build a space, things like that. But what keeps things going, I think, is making your work speak for itself. So making sure that your work is top notch, so the client would actually refer to someone else, and things go in a loop like that. Yeah.
Initially, nobody would take you seriously, but when your work speaks for you, they will.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, that was wonderful. I think lovely to see students still interested in, doing good work. And now I would like to invite on stage one by one. First, we'll be felicitating our very senior. So it's a very coincident thing. So if you notice the years of passing out, 1975, 1994, and 2013. They're all 19 years apart practices. So it is one of the diverse words. Very nice. So statistics. So 1970. Sir, please come center stage. I would try to, request Nivedita Bose ma'am to please come on stage and felicitate our. Come in the middle, sir. Oh. Thank you. I would now request Aparna Bidarkar ma'am, our past chairperson and advisor to this term, to please come and felicitate Amita Raj, architect Amita, please.
I specially came to see her presentation. Let me tell you, she was my senior in school and we have worked together. I have just come to be there.
And finally, I would request Amulya and Prashanti, please come on stage, and I would request Principal Sir, Hari Krishna Sir, to please come and felicitate the young architects budding. Yes. दो देना होता है group. Yeah, please, if we can all join. I think if we can all join, all of us can, the students can stand down, and Suleiman Bhai, please come. And I would also like to mention here that our second sponsors, Ved Group, they are dealers into lighting products. They deal with Philips Lighting, Divinity Lighting, and another brand which is Nirvana. So they have 3 brands which they deal with, and they are based out of Hyderabad. And both the partners were engaged and they were traveling, so they couldn't be here. So they've asked me to just convey that, they felt really nice in being part of this entire term of initiative, because they were the term sponsors for this I3 event. So all the 3 events were sponsored jointly by Darpan Furnishings and the Ved Group. So thank you to the Ved Group for supporting this event up till now. Thank you, and we'll just request everyone to come on stage. And by the time when this is happening, I'd request our Joint Honorary Secretary, Architect Naveel Chansani, for one last time to come and say the word of thanks.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Before, I want to tell just 3 important points. As one, our chairman, Manoj Bhai, said, it's like 19 years gap of each presentation. So the one who is here is so lucky to have these 3 variations. The second thing is today is the last event of this term for Manoj Bhai, sir. So you guys are very lucky to have this one. And the third is I want to thank the HOD and the principal of Roots. And your college is nicely connected to metro. Because I travel in metro to reach this place. So thank you, guys. All the best and try to attend all these I3 series and workshops in future. Thank you. All students, please come forward.
उसका बहुत सारी हैं ले लेना।